Welcome to Mappy Cat Outdoors. I'm Mappy. What I'm going to do now is a series of videos from hopefully start to finish on catching snapping turtles. Snapping turtle is kind of, I won't say a dying art, but not many people do it anymore. So I've personally never done it, but I got on YouTube and I did some research, things like that, learned out how to do it. So I'm going to go hopefully from start, where I'll tell you guys about some of the equipment that you need the whole way through hopefully catching them, which I've caught a few already, so we'll be showing you that process. Hopefully we'll catch some more. Where to set lines, because I do bank lines. Like I said, the equipment that you need, how to prepare them, how to butcher them, get them ready for cooking, ultimately to actually making recipes and sharing those with you. So the first thing I want to go over is make sure, depending on your state, know your regulations, okay? Here in my state, I have to have a valid fishing license. There's other states where you need a small game license, so make sure you understand what your local laws are. I need a valid fishing license, a certain size hook, things like that. There's states where you can't leave your line. You have to physically be able to watch your line all day and things like that. So just make sure you know your local laws so you're not getting in trouble that way. First thing I want to go over is some of the basic tools, basic things that you're going to want to need. First thing is line, because the way I'm doing it is I'm setting bank lines, because the areas that I'm in, I don't really have, it's not good for using jug lines, because the other area that I'm in has a current, so I wouldn't find my jugs, and the ponds that I'm in right now are just too large. I wouldn't be able to retrieve them if they were in the middle, because I don't have access to be able to bring a kayak or a small boat or something in here. So I'm just going to show you guys how to set bank lines right now. So I have two different lines. This one, neither one of them are necessarily made for setting turtle lines, but I'm improvising. This one is a wax coated twine that I got, and it's apparently made for doing something with saltwater lures or setups or something like that, because it was actually in the saltwater section. But it works pretty good. All the turtles that I've got on this. I don't really trust. I haven't had a problem with it breaking. It's so thin, I just don't know that I trust it. The other one is I don't know the size, but it's just a regular nylon twine. I'm much more trusting on the strength of this, and I'll show you how to get more strength out of it. Some people use steel leader. Some people actually use small steel cable. I think these are fine. I haven't had an issue with them yet. Next, like I said, this is a type of hook that I use. Here in my area, the legal hook has to be 3.5 inches long and at least 1 inch from the tip of the point to the shank. That's to be a legal turtle hook. Again, check your local laws. A small knife is good to have for cutting your lines. If you do get one, for cutting the line off, for cutting your bait, things like that. And then, depending on how thick or how accessible the area is, a machete is definitely worth its weight in gold, because there's times you're going to be blazing your own path. That's really all the equipment that I use. Another thing that I use, I'll show you later whenever I show you my turtles, is like a large plastic tote, because whenever you do get a turtle, you're not going to want to butcher it right away, because it's going to taste like this stagnant water. You're actually going to want to clean it out. I'll show you that process a little bit later. Also, maybe some waders or rubber boots, something like that, because you can get into some pretty thick stuff. I found out the hard way that I was walking through poison ivy, so I have that. So there's none here, but in the other area that I set turtle traps or turtle lines in, it's loaded with it, so I make sure I wear the long pants there. Some other ways, like I was saying, like I just said, I set bank lines for turtles, but some other ways, there's turtle traps. You can make them. There's blueprints and things online. There are jug lines, trot lines, things like that. But again, I just set a simple bank line. To get the bank line, because I'm actually in a position right now, I'm going to set one right here. So I'm going to show you how to do this. This is actually my last hook, so that's why we're only going to do one right here. Cut off whatever you want, the length that you think you might need. This is nylon, so I'm going to burn it. One of the things that you're looking for is turtle love cover, which is not great for you because you're going to get snagged up and stuff if you get one, but that's where you're going to find the turtles. And every turtle, I've caught 7 turtles so far, and they've all been near cover. Alright, so what I do is I just take maybe a foot or so, a little more, double it up, make myself a loop, and then I just double the strength of the line. Alright, so if it does come down with that biting power, if it chews it off, it chews it off, but I'm not going to waste my money on steel leaders. I know they're not that expensive, but I just do this. Put the hook on, I just use a simple trilene knot, just like a fishing line. Go over about 4 times. It's obviously, because of this line, a little more difficult to get it cinched up, and I'm not going to lick it. But it can be done. There, that's good and tight. Now what I do is I get my bait, and when it comes to bait, some people feel that the nastier the better. I've heard that, I've read that, but in all actuality, yes, they will eat nasty things. You know, people are thinking like catfish bait, the nastier the better. It's not necessarily true. You catch more catfish on fresh bait than you do, in my opinion, on the nasty stuff. So you can use fresh cut bait. They eat whatever they can. They're opportunistic feeders. They will eat whatever they come across. But you want something that the little turtles and the little fish aren't going to get off your hook all the time. But you're going to come back to empty hooks more than not. Chicken gizzards are used a lot. Cut bait. I just have some old freezer burnt meat here, and that works good. I actually caught my biggest turtle on this. Doesn't have to be a large piece of bait by any means. Matter of fact, that's kind of large, but it's probably too big. Just feed it on the hook, and I don't have any secrets yet about, or tips on whether the hook should be barely showing or anything, but I just barely have that tip out, because if they do swallow it, it's going to get into their neck and you're going to get them. So you take your string, and a tree over here, and what I'm going to anchor it to is there's a stump right here. It is not going to pull that stump in, so that's the easiest thing for me to anchor it to. Again, they like cover and wood and things like that, so I'm just going to toss it over towards that tree and then tie it off right here on this section of the stump. Nice and tight. I now have a turtle line set.